Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Sierra. For those of you who are new here, welcome. And if you are an old subscriber, welcome back. In today's video, I am doing a collaboration with SmalltownSix as she is hosting a apple and pumpkin recipe collab where you can choose to make a recipe using apple or pumpkin, or you can choose to do both. So I'm going to go ahead and put my oven onto 225 as I will be making some, let's just say something using apples. So I ended up buying this apple core on Amazon for $3.99. It is my first time using it, and I definitely will link it in my description box down below. But first, with the first recipe that I'm going to show you guys using apples, you need to core out the middle part of the apple. So you just hold it down, push it, and you can open it up for whenever you want to release what is in the apple core. So meanwhile, I have a bunch of apples where I went to the apple orchard prior to this video, and they were getting ready to go bad. So I decided to want to use them and get something made out of them without wasting them. This year, the apples in the bushels, which is a big bag, is about $18, and you really only get about 9 to 10 apples. So like I said, I didn't want them to go bad. So what you'll do is just slice these apples very thinly, and then you'll sprinkle ground cinnamon on top of them. Like I said, your oven is on 220 degrees. These are going to go into the oven. Make sure that you move your racks to the first and third. Due to the fact that both of these pans would not fit on one shelf, I put one on the bottom and one on the top. And so after a little while, I wanted to just like quickly check them. And what you have to do is turn them over. Yes, I do need to clean my oven, so please don't come for me in the comments about that. But with all the baking I have going on, it is time to clean out my oven once again. But meanwhile, this is what it looks like halfway through. You're gonna end up putting these back into the oven for another hour after it's already been sitting in there for 1 hour. So it's gonna take a total of 2 hours in order to make these apple chips. Honestly, I can say that these were the same as you get them in the store.
I'm gonna do a taste test. So they're good. Tastes like cinnamon. And of course, apple. It was good. I will bake these again. Yeah.
So as you can see, I am going to be making some pumpkin apple butter. Like I said before, I wanted to make sure that I used up that apple, so I created as many recipes as possible. For today's recipe in this one, I decided to use apples, pumpkin pure, cinnamon, nutmeg, and then of course the apples. I also have apple juice. So what I need to do is to peel off the outside peeling of the apple. I also have like all of my measuring stuff that I need, my can opener, my apple core, my measuring spoons, measuring cups. And so inside of this crock pot, I am going to be putting the pure pumpkin in. You guys are going to use a whole can. One can can cost $2, so definitely, like, if you're gonna use the pumpkin, just make sure that you're, you know, freezing it if you're not gonna use it for a while. Put it in the refrigerator. But meanwhile, 1 can of the Libby's pumpkin pure, 1 cup of the apple juice, half a cup of packed brown sugar, and then go ahead and add everything into the crock pot. What you also want to do is get ready to peel your apples, because that is what is going to go in on top. And you also are going to add in the nutmeg. Nutmeg for this is 1/4 teaspoon, and so make sure it's measured right, otherwise it might be a little bit too much. We also added in some ground cinnamon, so we ended up having to add I think a total of 2 teaspoons for this. So of course, like I said before, we need to core out the apples, throw this piece away. The apple core is really easy. In order to get the middle pieces out, you easily just open it up, pull it out, and throw it in the trash. So I also need to peel these apples. I am going to be using my apple core, my apple peeler, and so take the skin off of each apple. And of course we're going to get ready to dice it up, and it's going to go into the crock pot along with everything else. One thing I'll say about this little tool right here is it can be sharp and it can cut you. And so one of the best things that I do is just try to keep my fingers away from it at all costs. So I just decided to cut these apples up really small and go ahead and just add them into this bowl right here. Eventually I had Sky just transfer all of the apples over. No matter how many apples you use, it's still going to be good. What I did end up doing after this was just mixing everything up so that everything was even and that everything was mixed up and that the apples got the correct mixture and nothing like burned at the bottom. So I allowed this to sit in the crock pot for about 2 hours after finally plugging it in. And I did come over from time to time and give it a stir just so that everything was processed all together. As you guys can see, it is bubbling here. I just decided to stir it up and let it go for about another hour, just because I wanted everything to be kind of softened and ready for when I actually let it cool down and put it into the blender. One thing about this right here is just simply make sure that you have cooked it as long as you can. You can try and mash it with a masher just like I have, but I decided to go ahead and just let it cool off and eventually throw it into the blender. And then here it is. I'm pouring it into some mason jars where I was able to sell 2 of them, actually 3 of them. And then these jars right here for a total of 12 had cost me $15. So basically I made my money back for the jars all in one. So of course, in order to make this, you're gonna need one little pie pumpkin. This was probably like $1.50. I got this at Aldi's. So what you're gonna do is I'm just gonna show you guys in the next couple of clips, and I hope that you guys enjoy and stay until the end. Be sure to check out the playlist linked in my description box down below. Okay, so go ahead and cut a circle around the top of the pumpkin. Take it off, you can throw it in the trash. What you want to do is scoop everything out of the pumpkin into a separate container, and then what you're going to do is make sure that you get all the pulp and all the seeds out, and then from there make sure that you have a lined pan using parchment paper because you're going to need the pumpkins on there. So after I decided to take off the top, I decided to cut it in half. So this was the best way I could while vlogging. Go ahead and scrape everything out. With the way the pumpkin looked right there, I decided to cut that piece off just because I had had the pumpkin for about a week. So I cut those pieces off and easily flipped them over. I put them into the oven after taking the sticker off, of course, because once the pumpkins are done, you'll know because you'll be able to stick a knife in them. And so I put it into the oven for 35 minutes, and I went to put a knife in it, and that is how you know that it is ready to be peeled. Definitely let it cool down first before you try to do it. And one thing I will say is that it comes out really great because it was peeling right off. So one thing about this is you cut it and then eventually put it into a blender, and then ta-da, you will have pumpkin puree your way. And definitely if you would like to do it on a larger pumpkin, you sure can. Also, just like prepare it in sections, like I said, put it in the blender, and then you'll have pumpkin puree yourself, and you won't have to keep buying the cans, especially if recipes call for pumpkin puree. So I would like to thank you guys for watching this video today. Be sure to comment down below, and also be sure to check out that playlist and let me know what you think about these 3 apple and pumpkin recipes.